Okay, so when you think of a business laboratory, what comes to mind? Probably Silicon Valley, right? But what if some of the most valuable insights are actually coming from a place that's often overlooked in management theory? Today, we're going to dive into why Latin America is a hidden laboratory for understanding how businesses survive and even thrive under extreme pressure. You see, Latin America is this incredible paradox. On one hand, you have this amazing cultural similarity, shared languages, legal systems, and history that makes it super easy to compare businesses across different borders. But then, on the flip side, you've got this wild institutional instability, volatile economies, weak infrastructure, and deep-seated corruption. And that unique mix of stability and chaos, it creates the perfect research environment. Now, it's really easy to look at all that instability and just see a problem, right? But for researchers, it's a massive opportunity. All that friction creates a perfect real-world laboratory to test business theories that were born in stable, predictable economies. I mean, do those theories actually hold up when the ground is constantly shifting underneath you? Latin America is where we find out. All right, so let's dig in. What exactly makes this land of paradoxes such a perfect natural laboratory for business? Well, it's really a perfect storm for research. Think about it. That shared history means you can compare business strategies between, say, Chile and Mexico pretty easily. But against that stable cultural backdrop, you have this constant institutional churn, populism, and inequity. And that lets researchers isolate what really drives success when all the old rules just go out the window. And look, this isn't just some abstract academic idea. There is an absolute explosion of research happening right now, and it's being led by scholars from within the region itself. And no, that is not a typo. Let that sink in. A 1,422% increase. In just over a decade, management research coming out of the region completely exploded. Basically, Latin America went from being a place that was studied to a place that is now a major source of discovery itself. So what's fueling this fire? It's really a mix of things. You've got universities that are now properly incentivizing top-tier publications. Major conferences are actually being held in the region now. And you have this whole new generation of academics who are locally based, but globally trained, and they're bridging that gap between local know-how and international research. Okay, so with all this new energy, where are the most exciting frontiers? Where can this research really make the biggest splash? As you can see, the opportunities are huge, spanning everything from micro topics like leadership all the way to macro stuff like public policy. But let's dive into 3 areas that are just packed with unique insights. We're talking family businesses, entrepreneurship, and strategy. Okay, first up, family businesses. In Latin America, these aren't just part of the economy. They pretty much are the economy. Get this, family-owned companies employ a staggering 70% of the workforce. They're not just a cog in the machine, they're the whole engine. But this brings up a huge puzzle. If these businesses are so dominant, so essential, why do so few of them actually survive? Less than 15% make it to the 3rd generation. That makes the region the perfect place to study universal challenges like succession planning and how to attract non-family talent. So, the answers we find here could have massive implications for family businesses everywhere. All right, next up, entrepreneurship. Latin America is absolutely buzzing with startup energy. I mean, it has some of the highest rates of new business creation on the entire planet. But here's the kicker, the paradox. For all that activity, entrepreneurs in the region are often less successful than in other emerging markets. So what gives? Well, many are what you'd call survival entrepreneurs, starting businesses out of sheer necessity, not because they spotted a golden opportunity. A lot of the research here is trying to answer a really key question. How do you help these businesses go from just surviving to actually thriving? And finally, let's talk strategy. Most business school strategy is built on the assumption of a pretty stable world. Well, that's a luxury that companies in Latin America just don't have. Down there, a sudden recession or a massive political shift can completely destroy your best-laid plans, like overnight. So that forces you to ask a really fundamental question. How on earth do you build a sustainable competitive advantage on constantly shifting ground? It makes the region the ultimate stress test for resilience and crisis management. I mean, the lessons learned from surviving hyperinflation in Argentina, those are incredibly valuable for any company facing uncertainty anywhere in the world. Now, of course, doing this kind of groundbreaking research is not a walk in the park. The opportunities are massive, for sure, but there are some pretty significant real-world obstacles that researchers, both local and international, have to deal with. One of the biggest hurdles is just a lack of institutional support. In a lot of local universities, there just isn't a dedicated career path for research. So you have faculty with these heavy teaching loads, and they're often pushed towards consulting gigs just to make ends meet. And that creates a brain drain, pulling talent away from pure discovery. And then there's the second big challenge, a global bias. Think about it. The top academic journals are mostly based in the US and Europe, and they can be pretty skeptical of data that comes from outside that bubble. So a reviewer might look at findings from, say, Brazil, and just dismiss them as too specific, basically treating the US as the default for everything. And that prejudice makes it really tough for this vital research to get the attention it deserves. But here's the good news. These challenges are tough, but they're not insurmountable. In fact, the source material lays out a really clear, actionable roadmap for turning these obstacles into opportunities and unlocking the region's full potential. So to tackle that resource problem, you have to be strategic. If you're an international researcher, you need to find those leading local universities that are actually investing in research-focused careers. Partnering up with the faculty at these places is a game changer. It unlocks invaluable local knowledge and gives you access to data you just couldn't get otherwise. And what about that global bias? Well, to overcome that, the key is all in the framing. So a study on Argentinian wineries can't just be about Argentinian wineries. It has to be framed to show how it challenges a major established theory. It's all about showing its universal relevance, presenting local findings as a powerful test case with insights for the entire field. And again, collaborating with local partners is absolutely crucial to making that connection. And at the end of the day, the value of this research is so much bigger than just collecting new data. As the authors of the source material put it, it allows us to rethink and even challenge implicit assumptions that permeate many management theories. It's about stress testing our most fundamental knowledge in a place where you absolutely cannot take anything for granted. And that really leaves us with one final big thought. If Latin America is this incredible hidden laboratory, what other regions are we completely overlooking around the world? Because maybe the biggest lesson here is that the most exciting new frontiers of knowledge aren't always found in the familiar center of things, but way out on the challenging and often paradoxical edges.